Awesome. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on our conversation series. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda Devison, and I am the first Vice President of Business and Professional Women of Greater Moncton. And we've been having this conversation series throughout COVID where we could bring attention to some amazing women in the community and organizations that support women. And tonight is no different. So tonight we're going to be shining the light on the relaunch of 100 Women Who Care, Greater Moncton, so Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe. Joining me this evening is Susan Clarke and Susan Martin. I'm going to intro them first, and then we'll have some questions. If you have any questions you would like to ask, feel free to put them in the comments on the live. I'll keep an eye on my iPad over here, and we'll go from there. Feel free to post them if you're watching the replay as well, because we'll make sure we tag either of the Susans and they'll be able to answer your questions. They do have a Facebook page for the 100 Women Who Care as well. We'll post that in the comments and all the other fun links. So let me start off with the bios and then we'll get into the conversation. So Susan Clarke is Vice President and Wealth Advisor and holds a personal financial planner designation. After graduating with a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Mount Allison University, she joined RBC and enjoyed a 31-year career, including positions as Manager of Royal Trust and Manager of Financial Planning. Susan believes a customized investment strategy works best and should be based on an individual's specific need for capital growth, investment income, and capital preservation, as well as their retirement income needs and existing tax situations. Through professionally managed portfolios, risk is managed via strategic diversification of asset classes between equities, fixed income, and cash. Committed to a personal approach to wealth management, Susan begins with an in-depth discovery of each client's current situation, future goals, and upcoming milestones. A firm believer in the financial planning process, her process includes an insurance analysis and estate planning through her extended team of specialists. Susan has 2 children, Daniel and Sarah, and is an active volunteer in the community. She loves anything outdoors, from snowshoeing, skiing, and long hikes in the winter to golfing, biking, and hiking in the summer. She also enjoys camping, yoga, and travel. So welcome, Susan Clarke.
Thank you, Amanda.
Susan Martin is a mortgage specialist with RBC Royal Bank, currently residing in Moncton, New Brunswick. She's originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia, but after 20 years is proud to call Moncton her home. After owning and operating her own business for 10 years, she joined the Canadian Council on Rehabilitation and Work. Working with CCRW, she was preparing a group of 25 to re-enter the workforce with RBC. Since joining RBC in 2004, she's held a variety of positions, and it was clear RBC's approach to career development fostered her entrepreneurial spirit. Susan is a full-time mortgage specialist with RBC, but also co-owner of Moncton's Absolutely Clean, a commercial cleaning company operating locally for the past 15 years. Susan is very community-oriented and spends her time giving. Whether it's volunteer days with her colleagues at RBC or cooking her traditional Christmas dinner, she's always looking for ways to give back. Over the past few years, working with Convoy of Hope Committee and now with 100 Women Who Care, her involvement continues and will continue to grow. So welcome, Susan Martin.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
So thanks, ladies, for joining me. There's been a lot of buzz about the 100 Women Who Care in local media and online. And so I thought this was a great opportunity to bring you both on and just kind of paint the picture for people of what is the group, why did you decide to relaunch, et cetera, et cetera. So first of all, because this is a relaunch, I want to know individually, why did you guys decide to get involved? So Susan Clarke, can you kind of give me a little bit of the story as why did you decide that you wanted to get involved with the relaunch of 100 Women Who Care?
Well, first, I want to thank Tammy Ramperzo and her people that she worked with a few years ago. It was an extension of what had already been launched, 100 Women Who Care. And Tammy was instrumental in helping us get set up and ready to go this year. And not only is she running for mayor for the town of Riverview, but she's a wonderful person. So I just wanted to mention that and reach out to that former group to thank them so much for starting this. So I was a member of the previous group, but I want to tell you a little bit about sort of my sense of where this all comes from, and it's going to take a minute. So my grandmother was a very giving person. My mom's mom and my other grandmother, unfortunately, I didn't get to see that so much because she was gone beforehand, but my grandmother ran the community hall. She ran the cemetery. She looked after that. She ran UCW at her church. She was very involved in the community. She wrote for free for a column in the Oxford Journal. Whenever we went to visit, we got to be in the column. So that was the first example that I saw as a young person growing up. And from there, I saw my mom, who was a psychiatric nurse, look after people. My mom has continued in retirement to do a ton of things, which includes looking after people in the community, looking after her church, and also volunteering as well. So then it extended. I was very blessed with a wonderful group of girlfriends, including, I'd like to say, the two of you, and thank you. But my group of girlfriends, when I was a young mom, I was all career focused, and my group of girlfriends that I had, most of them were able to volunteer their time at the hot lunch program at school. They were on the Home and School Association, and they might not realize this, but how envious and jealous I was of them being able to do that, because I felt like, you know, how do I give back? I would go into a home and school meeting and just tell them that they shouldn't be buying like a photocopier because it costs too much money, because I was all about the business side of things. So I want to say thank you to all of them for all of their efforts volunteering, and I've appreciated so much being around them, and they're part of this group. A lot of them have joined this group this time and previously. But all of that kind of makes for a powerful background for me, because, you know, I come from the world of money, and I know a lot of people that have money because that's what I do for a living. And I started to realize, like, it's almost like a super high for me when I can make people give money, and when I can stand up in front of people and sell tickets. So I was involved with you, Amanda, at the Friends of the Moncton Hospital Gala. I've done volunteering for boards where I have not felt like my ability to be part of that board was great, because I just wanted to be all about, like, these people everybody should be giving money. Like, why aren't people giving money? I don't understand it. So unfortunately, I had to turn to be patient and learn more about that, and how to help people realize that we need to go in our pockets, and we need to support our community and support everyone in our community. And especially if we have the ability to give of a service that we have, the ability to give our money. But, you know, more importantly, people who give their time, I admire them the most, because they have such big impact. So I thought, what can I do? How can I support that? Well, one of the best ways for me to support that is to tap into my own personal resources, which I am a giving person in that way every year. And also tap into my friend base, my Facebook friends, my work colleagues, and see what we can do with this 100 Women Who Care. So that, coupled with the fact that I got to know Sue Martin a little bit over the last year, and realized that we think similarly that way, and that we don't go big, stay home, we go big. So now here we are.
Awesome. How about you, Sue Martin? What was your reasoning for wanting to get involved in the relaunch of 100 Women Who Care?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be spending time, and this is something that I preach about all the time, is spending time with other women in the community making change. I think that that's the best way for us to really come together and to share ideas and get different people's perspectives. So I have a friend in St. John who's been a member of that team for 100 Women That Care St. John. And over the last 3 years, I've listened to a lot of fun things. So they did one of the first things I remember them talking about was an all-white supper. And she would constantly talk to me about the 100 Women That Care, and she's so excited for her meeting. And then I think what really pushed it over the top for me is she's a member of First Steps in St. John, and they recently were awarded the donation. So watching that unfold for someone so personal, I think really hit home for me. I live downtown Moncton. I really see the struggles in the city, and I see the charities, and I've got great reminders every morning of people going by my windows with shopping carts full of bottles, because that's the job they do. So seeing that live in color, I really try to live a servant lifestyle and live in gratitude. And I haven't always been in a position where I have been able to give. And so I've seen struggles along the way for myself personally, but also for a lot of people that I've loved. And I think that this opportunity presented itself at the right time. So I'm always the one that, if we're getting together for something, everybody brings something for the food bank. So I've been able to do things on a small scale. And actually being a part of these meetings over the last year with you, Amanda, and forming a friendship with Susan, and really just getting that camaraderie going between us, made this feel like I could do this with you guys. So it's been inspiration for me to be a part of. I think that bringing women together, I think, is one of the most important things we can do, supporting women's initiatives and being in a network where we're going to be able to create waves of change. I just never felt like I was able to make a large enough impact. And this afforded the opportunity for us to collaborate together. And I know, thank you so much, Susan, for thanking Tammy, but I want to say that I wish there was a bunch of chairs sitting here tonight to talk, because the committee that we have been able to bring together to get this off the ground is just second to none. And what's so great is things just happened, and everybody that came together each brought a different skill set to the table. So we were able to formulate a pretty solid team. I don't want to spoil the announcement. So Susan, I'm not sure if you're okay that I go ahead and talk about where we're at currently.
Go ahead.
Anybody that knows me knows that I believe everything happens for a reason. And today was the day that we marked our 100th member. We're at 103. We're actually the 100 Women That Care as of today, right before our live event tonight. So I think that speaks volumes to the fact we're on the right track, and couldn't be working with someone stronger than Susan on this initiative. So we've had a lot of 7 o'clock in the morning conversations and a lot of laughs, and we just can't believe what we've been able to do, but it's all of us. And that's what the beauty of the 100 Women That Care really is.
And I think too, for anyone watching, they should realize too, don't be dismayed. The cap is not 100 women, the minimum, the floor. The floor is 100 women who care.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda.
St. John, I think, has over 200 members. So we want to grow. So tell your friends, join us, come on in. So also, full transparency, I'm on the committee. I'm a member. I've paid my $100 for the first meeting. So I am involved in that way. Susan Clarke is a BPW member. Susan Martin is a future BPW member. That's how I wrote you in. But no, and I do want to say a huge shout out to the committee. It's been amazing. And the committee is not made up of all RBCers. That should be something that's clear as well. It's women from across Moncton in a variety of industries, a variety of roles. Just really strong, amazing women that want to give back to the community. The power of getting together and pooling the money to make a real big impact on those charities that end up being selected is really a big deal. I think all of us have had the experience of, giving $50 here or $100 there or $25 there. And you just see how great the need is for those charities. And you wish you could do more, whether it was time or money. And this is going to be the vehicle to allow you to do that. So Susan Martin, can you walk us through, kind of give an overview? So when someone signs up, then what happens? So how does it work?
So when you sign up to be a member with us, you are committing that over the next 4 meetings, you'll contribute $400. So it's $100 a meeting, and we will send out the links and everything else. So we have you register as a member with us. So you make sure that you get all the communications, and then you have 2 payment options. One of them is through Eventbrite and one of them through an email money transfer. So we'll make sure those directions are sent out after the session tonight. But really the impact is that it's a 1-hour meeting once a quarter where we all come together. When we put our donations in, we nominate a registered charity of our choice. That does 2 things. It gives them an audience, and it builds exposure for charities that have had a struggle recently, but it also obviously gives them the opportunity to win the donation. So we all submit a name with our donation. We are going to go live on Facebook, and we'll spin a wheel, and we're going to pick 3 of those charities. On the night of our meeting, the meeting is spent listening to the previous winner. They're going to tell us about what they did with their money. And the 3 charities are going to come and give a quick presentation, 5 minutes each, to tell us a little bit about what the donation would mean to them. And then we will all vote live that night, and that we will award the winner that night. The winner will get 80% of our donation. And a really nice twist, we think, is that each of the people that showed up, did a presentation for us, will each get 10% of the remaining donations. So it's really it is the most simplistic giving model that I've ever seen. So that's really, in a synopsis, an overview of what we're doing.
Because essentially, if we have 100 women who pay their $100, that's $10,000 in the pot. So essentially, if we're using just the round numbers here, so the winning charity that's selected will get the $8,000 and the other two will get $1,000 each. So at least they leave with something. Obviously, that means the more women we have, the more people involved, the greater the amount of money we can donate back into the community is. So Susan Clarke, I know you attended, virtually attended, I think you virtually attended the St. John one recently, was it? Was it you? Or
So I virtually attended the St. John, and I went in person to the men's group here.
Can you tell us about that? Because I know, like, again, that St. John has a huge amount. So what was that experience like to kind of log in and see?
I've done a lot of virtual meetings in the last year, but this is the first time that I did a virtual meeting of that nature. So it was probably one of the ones that I attended that had the most people on it. So they had 88 people that called in, and I think it got to be over 100 people just on the Zoom call that night. And it worked very well. It was wrapped up in 45 minutes. That particular group is run by one person who I think is amazing. And before we go further, I do want to mention some of our names of people that have helped us, just so that we give a shout out to them, and that their friends realize how appreciative we are of everything that they've done. So one would be you, Amanda Devison, and Daniel Thomas, Aaron Ellis, Paula Bro, Joanne Phillips, Nadine Cormier, and Tina Sears. So a few of those are World Bank employees, but the remaining people are people that have become adopted by Susan and I, and we consider them our friends and colleagues because we're working together. So that woman, as I mentioned, Debbie Rothwell, does it all by herself. So we did spend time looking at the processes that they followed. So there's a lot of similarities, and you asked me about the meeting. So at that particular meeting, there was 3 charities that presented. They give all the money to one charity. So that night that we were on that call, I believe it was in the vicinity of $27,000 that was given out to one particular charity. So as I was watching it, and I think Sue felt the same way, is that like I was heartbroken because there was 3 charities that presented, all were equally deserving of this money. And in particular, I remember one gentleman who was very nervous. I mean, he had to go on this call, 88 people on the call, then it was over 100 people. And they get up there and they tell their story to you. And their stories are, for the most part, in a lot of cases, because I've been to some of the other meetings here in Moncton as well, very personal stories of why people do what they do and why they are even working for a charity, and why they need money for this particular charity. So I get off and I said to Sue, oh my God, like, I'm heartbroken. We need to give money to everybody. So that happened to be the model that the men here in Moncton do. So great. So that we decided that we would follow the model. And I want to shout out to Daryl Namath of the 100 Men Who Care here in Moncton. He's also involved in a number of other charities, for his help in helping us slow our minds down maybe and see how things can be. And so we adopted that particular model for our group from the group here in Moncton. So, but the 2 formats of the 2 meetings were very similar. The men here in Moncton actually did a virtual meeting for the most part, but they had, I think 17 people were in the room that night. They were expecting 25. So they're attempting to get people
back out in the world,
because it is not a networking event, and it was not a networking call at all with the St. John women or at the men's group. But it is a powerful experience to be part of it, whether you're on a Zoom call or you're able to be there in person. It is an emotional experience. It is a moving, energy-filled experience to be part of this. And I hope every one of you on the call tonight, and who are our new members and future or former members and maybe future members, get the opportunity to experience that, because it's super impactful. It's a great feeling to be able to feel like you're actually doing something big and wonderful, and to see and hear from these charities with what they're going to do with the money. So I'll give you an example, and then I'll turn the information back to Sue. But Sue Martin should talk a little bit about her own personal experience about the groups that she's involved in, because I am super naive about how people have to live in our community. And whenever I hear about it, it sometimes overwhelms me so much, just like right now, my chest gets tight, honestly, thinking about it, because I just feel so helpless. Like I don't know what else I could do right now other than just trying to find ways to get people to give money. So the men's group, the night that I was there, had the former winner was a gentleman who received the money for a group of, it makes me upset to think about this, sex trafficking workers here in Moncton, and that there's a place big enough here, and we have such a large group of people living under duress in those circumstances. And that's just one thing. So I get so overwhelmed by the stuff like that, that I just like, oh my God, like, how do we help these people?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to pass that along, because this is extremely impactful on the experience. So they had, here in Moncton, the men gave away 12,800 to the first group, and then they were able to give out another 1,800 each. I'm sorry, Daryl, or your wife, if I got things wrong. But like, that was really moving for me to be sitting there with 4 chairs beside me and 4 chairs in front of me, and sitting by myself in a group of people I didn't know, but I still was obviously moved enough to tell you guys about it and get emotional about it.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is like, then that happens 4 times a year, right?
Right.
So you get to actually see the power of, and I'm sure everyone listening and everyone that has become a member and the people that will continue to join, everyone's involved in some sort of charity. Some sort of charity is near and dear to their heart, whether, again, like, whether it's financial support, time, whatever it is. And your membership gives you that, you know, right to vote, like to nominate your charity in, to kind of get that kind of powerful injection of funds. And we've seen through COVID that there's actually some organizations who didn't receive any money. Crazy enough, there's ones that received more, because there was a lot of highlighting around food banks and things like that. So there were some organizations who were still able to receive some money. But they're actually, and RBC did a study recently, the Thought Leadership Group, and there's actually a large group of Canadian charities who didn't receive as much money as they had gotten in 2019 pre-COVID, right? And we've seen also what extra strain COVID has placed on a lot of charities, shelters, women's shelters, food bank, all those different places. All the charities suddenly had to do so much more with so much less. So it's kind of scary for me. Like, when you talked about like your chest getting tight, mine does that too. When the thought of, you know, charities out there didn't even get as much as they had to operate in 2019, and we've lived in such crazy times for the last year plus, right? So in saying that, this is a great way to learn about. I'm sure as people nominate their different charities for this, there's going to be all kinds of organizations we weren't even aware of. So in that, like Sue Clarke was saying, Sue Martin, if you want to kind of elaborate a bit on the things you've been involved with and why, and kind of just paint that picture for people as well.
Yeah, and it may not be as formal as it sounds, but in living in Moncton, and anybody that knows me will laugh when I say this, is I'm loud. And I feel though that I can have a voice as long as I'm contributing in the resolve. So it's extremely important to me that not only I raise the flag and say we're in trouble in a lot of areas in Moncton, and whether that's mental health, addiction services, homelessness, which a lot of the time is one. We have people, and I am and I do consider myself blessed to be able to see these people, to learn to know these people, and to live amongst them. And so for Christmas, for example, a whole group of women and men that have gotten together, it's now been 7 or 8 years. We do a huge turkey dinner, and we deliver it to a group of people it's not a charity we donate to. It's a group of people that have to live by the hospital because they don't have money for transportation, or they have such little income that they're in a room. Well, what if you didn't have a kitchen to have your Christmas dinner in? And this is really an impactful one for me, because everybody says, oh, well, they can go to a hall. Why don't you donate to the hall? And I just want to give these people the freedom to wake up whenever they want on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day and eat whenever they want. And to have in your mind that that's not something that's afforded to everybody is such an amazing reminder for me that a small amount of giving. So this year I was flooded with donations for this project. I had to start turning away money because everybody wants to get involved and everybody wants to be part of something really special. And I can say, out of that group of people in the last year, 5 of them have passed away.
Oh, wow.
And these are people that I saw at Christmas time that we no longer see around the neighborhood, and all different reasons. But the underlying reason is that they don't have the proper care and resources available. And we can make a difference there. So charitable giving to me, when I think about masks and sanitizer, what if you couldn't afford a mask? And that's the reality that we see. And I am just as empathetic to animals as I am to humans, as I am to all of these things. But I say, and in the summertime especially, I look at my boyfriend in the morning when I hear those bottles rattling past our window, and I say how lucky we are to wake up with that alarm so we never forget. And I think the punchline to the story is that particular woman passed away of an overdose this year. So my reminder is not her anymore, but I do obviously keep connected with a lot of other things going in the community. So I love to have a voice. I love to talk. Don Arnold couldn't be more receptive to resource ideas and things that we could do differently. So I like to have a voice, but I always feel like I have to earn it. And I think being a part of the solution is how I've always earned that voice. So that's a little overview of some of the things that keep me going and keep me giving. And I'll never move out of downtown. I love being around the community and seeing where the pulse is, and just never forgetting.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So for
can
those,
I just mention one thing,
yeah, go
Amanda?
ahead.
Sorry. I did want to mention, because I think it's important that you realize like that which people in our community do participate in things and put their money where their mouth is. And both Don Arnold and Tammy Ramperzo are current members. They've signed up to be members of this group. And I think that's important to the cause. There's other people's names I saw there. I won't disclose them because they probably didn't know that I would do that. But there are a couple of other people that I know are what you'd call political people in the politics that are women that have signed up to be part of this. And I appreciate so much them doing that, because it says a lot about their character.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Susan Martin, who should sign up to be part of 100 Women Who Care?
Every single woman that has the opportunity to give. And if you don't have the opportunity to give time. One thing I will say is it's very rare that 100% of the donations go directly to the charity. 100%. Every dollar you put in is going directly to the charity that wins. Any over cost, and I think it's also important to give a shout out, any costs that are incurred by this group, we are asking for sponsorship for. So Susan Clarke sponsored our Zoom fees for a year. Tina Sears, who is also on our committee, has sponsored and funded our account to start and do all the things that the bank needs, like checks and service fees. And we also had Matt Barber from Dominion Securities pay for our graphic design. So I do want to say that every single dollar that you give goes directly to the charity of the choice of the winner, and everything else will be going out. We have members of our committee that are our sponsorship team that have done this in the community for years and years for other organizations. So 100% of donations go, and everybody that wants to be part of a wave, it's going to be a massive wave of change. We have the loudest women in Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview included. This is going to be a wave of change.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so everybody should be included.
Okay, Susan Clarke, if somebody does want to join, how do they get involved?
Well, there has been some confusion around that, and we do apologize for that. But bottom line is, there's a number of ways. One, I mentioned all the community names. Most people would see our names on Facebook. So I'm Susan Clarke, Susan.Clarke with an E at rbc.com. And you can email me if you'd like to become a member. However, there is an Eventbrite page, which is our membership registration page. And for data gathering and simplicity, we've asked people to sign up on that page, which it's free to sign up on the page. You put in that you're a member. You do have to put in some personal information, which is like your email address and your details around your home address and that type of thing. And that's how you register. Okay, so we need registered members, most importantly, and we're obviously over 100, but like you said, there's no floor, and we're looking to get higher than that. So we want people to continue to register. Once you register, there's two things you can do to move yourself to the next stage, which is to be a paying member and be able to nominate a charity. So a paying member, you can sign up on the Eventbrite page for May 11th, which is our first meeting at 5:30 on May 11th. And you also can pay via e-transfer should you wish to do that. So we're just trying to keep everything easy for everyone. But, you know, feel free to reach out to anybody you know who is a member, or to try to look for those pages. I understand it's not always that easy, but they're getting more and more visible because we now have, you know, a number of views. I think we're up to over 800 views on that page. And there's also a LinkedIn page and an Instagram page. So if you happen to see it, I did want to mention our logo. We're trying to use the same logo on every single piece of information. We did have a lady that I know, Lisa Killam, that offered to do that logo for us. And as Susan mentioned, Matt Barber sponsored it, because I've pulled a few favors with Lisa already for different little graphic designs I needed for other projects that I'm involved in. So Lisa was very creative when she created the logo. Susan and I talked to her and we told her that we wanted it to be a logo that represented all inclusive. And I don't think people would realize, but basically the big thing about the birds is representing our community. So distinct cities living in harmony in the community with all kinds of different people from all kinds of walks of life. Because Amanda, you asked who can get involved. We want everybody. We don't care. Any woman, any person who identifies themselves as 100 woman, whoever that may be, they're more than welcome to be part of what we're creating here. And we think it's important that we get a good cross section of people from the three different, generally speaking, from the three different communities, like in Moncton, like as much as possible, because that's where we're going to be focusing our efforts on trying to help the greater area, I guess you could say. But we also think it's important that people are meant to look after people culturally. I was talking about my grandmother, and if you look at historically, that's what I think's fallen off the rails a lot in the last few years, last 20, 30 years, is that, you know, people don't look after people anymore. It used to be before that people looked after people. Now we go on about our lives and we're not necessarily, you know, doing what Susan's doing by taking meals out to people and looking after our community. So I think I did want to mention that, because that means that there's other cultures living amongst us that they still believe very much in being maybe a little bit more that way than we do. They live with maybe their mom and you know, their mom and their other siblings in the same house, even though they're all adults and have children. That's people looking after people. That's a community. We want those people. We want them to teach us how to do this.
And I think too, it makes it like a double layer of it, because not only like the 100 women who care are their own community. So it gives you that sense of community and empowerment because you're part of this group that's making a large impact, but also you're continuing that giving by, you know, that money is flowing into organizations that are helping the greater community. So it's like, you know, you get a 2-for-1 here. Like you get to be part of the 100 Women Who Care community, and that community is also helping the larger Moncton, Riverview, Dieppe community. So, so I did see a question, does the charity have to be a registered charity? So Susan Martin, do you want to address that?
Yes, it does need to be a registered charity in order to be nominated.
And so when somebody, can you explain to, like, for charity receipts, like for people that are giving their $100 every quarter and that money goes to the charity, how does that part work?
What'll happen is those receipts, because 100% of the donations go directly to the charity will be issuing receipts individually to everybody. So you donate your money and then we give it to the charity, and the charity will come back and provide you with your donation receipt.
Okay, and another question here is, can we nominate a charity that is outside of the Greater Moncton area but still in Southeast New Brunswick?
So we had a conversation about this today, actually, and we want to make sure that we're respectful of other chapters. So as long as you're not within the boundaries of another chapter, we'd be happy to welcome you in. Absolutely.
Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen just to show people the logo in case they haven't seen it. And then Sue Clarke, if you want to kind of explain to people what they're looking at.
So basically, we wanted it stated that, you know, we wanted it stated that the cities were there. So we wanted to have Dieppe have their own name, Moncton have their own name, and Riverview have their own name. Not that we don't respect the fact that we always call the area the Greater Moncton area. We are three distinct cities and towns living in the same community. We wanted to make sure that that was there. We also wanted to make sure that the logo was representative of that, and that's what Lisa Killam did. She did provide a little write-up, and I want to be able to share that on the Facebook page, and then people will be able to read it. I don't want to take up your time right now doing that, but in a simple way, it was, you know, the birds representing the 3 communities and giving back to the 2 sort of smaller birds that you see there, and nurturing the community. So we felt that represented also women and the nature of women and how we feel about that.
Awesome. And yeah, so the tag is there too. People see it here, so they can search that and join the page. The links will be on the page. Also, I can see that some of the committee members are commenting with the Eventbrite links on our live here too. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me see. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing. It's kind of dovetailing off what Susan was talking about. And one thing about happiness. And I think people would say about me, if I'm not having fun doing it, I'm not doing it. That's pretty much the way it rolls, because I really foster happiness. And when you look at it, and I watched a documentary that maybe a lot of you have, humans want to collaborate or compete. That's where we feel the most gratification. And I think this is a great example. And I think we hear a lot of dialogue, and I've lived it myself, where women want to compete. So we can either compete or collaborate. And I think this initiative is a great example of collaboration and a way for us to lift each other up together. And I want us all to walk into this thing really understanding that it's all of us, every single person. This is about all of us, and a collaboration to make this change.
Yeah, we've really kind of taken that on as well as BPW, is we're really about collaboration and community over competition. So, you know, a lot of different women's organizations are in Greater Moncton, and some people think that's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. I think we need to embrace it. I think we need to figure out how to work with each other. So for example, you know, some people might have not had you guys on because, oh my God, well, they're going to steal 100 women. And like, no, I want to tap into your 100 women. Have them come over here. And same with like our BPW members. There's a lot of women who want to get involved with what you guys are doing. And it's not the same thing. We're not the same organization, but we have a lot of the same crossover values. And so why couldn't people be involved in both, right? So, and the great thing I think about the 100 Women Who Care is literally you're committing to 4 hours and $400 a year. And you can literally make a huge impact to organizations in the Greater Moncton area, because all of us pooling our funds together is going to go a lot farther than everybody kind of one-off donating, which is still great. Don't get me wrong. I think people should still do that. But I think just knowing that we're going to be able to really kind of move the dial for some of these organizations on different programs or investments or whatever it is they need to make to kind of help people move forward. I think that's like a huge impact. And again, like we talked about earlier, is like, you know, you get that feeling of accomplishment or, you know, gratitude or whatever it is, but it just like, it fills you up with that positivity of having to make an impact. But at the same time, people are living busy lives. And so this is a great way to, you know, you're not given tons and tons of hours. You're literally committing to listen to the presentations and give your $100, and it's going to make like a huge difference in the community. So I can't wait till we're at 206 members instead of 103 members. And so I'm excited to see that grow, because women here are really starting to embrace the fact that they have some economic power, and, you know, their share of the wallet can really make a difference, and their voices can be heard. And this is a great way to do that as well. So is there anything that we missed? Is there anything else you guys wanted to chat about in terms of the 100 Women?
Just maybe one little thing, because you did touch on it a bit there, is around the whole aspect of, you asked me who we wanted involved, and I went into the type of people that we want involved, but we didn't mention, like, the bulk of the people that have joined so far are you know, sort of women in our age bracket. I'm going to lump myself in with Amanda, who's a lot younger than me, but my mom joined. A lady that I worked with named Sue Lowe. I hope she doesn't mind that I mention her name, but Sue Lowe is a very giving person. She joined. I had a friend of mine's mom that's a retired teacher that reached out to me, Sue Murray. She joined. So there's lots of retired women that have joined, and we want those. My son's girlfriend joined, Kiana, and she's just starting her career, right? So it's in people. We have to foster this in people, and we have to continue to foster it in people, because if we don't, then we will lose that ability to do these things. So on the whole networking thing, I mean, we say it's not a networking group because we're not brought together for the purpose of networking, but oh my God, it's probably the best networking group that anybody could be involved in when you think about what we're doing and the feeling that you're going to get. I mean, you don't have to go out somewhere and talk to people over a glass of wine at 5 o'clock at night and talk business and all that. You can talk about whatever you want to. You can talk about your kids, your dog, whatever you're interested in, if you want to. If you don't want to, you go sit down in your chair, dial into your Zoom call, it's fine. Because it's not meant to be a networking group, but I do think there will be a lot of benefits in who you're going to meet and the type of people. Wouldn't you want to meet people that want to give away stuff, like give away their money and do things? Who better to know? I mean, really.
I think too, also it kind of, again, this is another overlay with BPW is that, you know, networking at our events is not the same as networking. Like if you went out to business network,
Right.
it's about meeting people, like-minded women. And it's not about making a sale. It's about, you know, making friendships, long-lasting friendships and connections. And so this is the same thing. Like you already, if you're involved with 100 Women Who Care, you already know that those 100+ women are there for all the same reason, that you guys share values. So even if you don't, you know what you guys do in 9 to 5, it's irrelevant. You've come together for a common cause. And so that you already have something in common with all those people. So it kind of takes away a little bit of that anxiety factor too, right? Same with BPW. It's meant to be a safe place for women to network. And again, it's not really traditional networking where you feel like, oh, you have to hand out so many business cards and you have to do your elevator pitch and you have to talk about, you know, what is it you do for a living? Like none of that stuff is like the underlying importance of the networking that would take place at 100 Women Who Care or BPW. It's about you're all there for a common reason. You already have something in common, so you don't have to feel afraid to chat with somebody because you're all there for the same purpose. And so it's that, to me, is an exciting part as someone who is an introvert and has social anxiety, believe it or not. Like this is easy because there's 3 boxes here. I don't have to deal with that. But I hate those events where you have to go out and, you know, shake hands and kiss babies. It's not where I shine. That's not where I feel the most comfortable. So, but with things like BPW and 100 Women Who Care, I feel comfortable. I feel like I can, you know, be myself and use my voice because I already know that the women in the room, we all share common values and we're all there for the same reason. So I think that's another great part of it is that, you know, it's not meant to be one of those smooze fests. It's about to be how are we going to impact the community? And here we are to impact the community. We're going to do it together. And so I think that's kind of a great aspect of it as well.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd like to just mention one other thing that we haven't talked about.
Sure, absolutely.
And that is that right now, it is a responsibility of us as individuals to figure out a way to move forward in life. I think all of us have it in us. We want to move forward. Something bad happens to you, like you just need to move forward. So the prime example is if everybody had a problem, that old saying, put your problems on the floor in the room at a party, then you probably take back your own problems.
Yes.
But the big part of that I want to bring up here is that Facebook does drive me nuts, and a lot of social media drives me nuts because people are quite often very critical of what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think of, I'm going to use Dawn Arnold as an example. I don't even know Dawn that well. We've only spoken once or twice at a social setting, but, you know, she brought up a point on a meeting that I was on for BPW where like people jump in to be critical of what we do, but as individuals in our lives, and we have to be careful we need to bring solutions. And this is an example of a solution and something that will help people. And we also have to realize that our government doesn't pay for everything. It's impossible. It's impossible for our government to fund and pay for everything, especially with the explosion in circumstances that we are now having to deal with that were not there a long time ago. And I did mention about how people looked after people a long time ago. That's what's changed, I think, from my experience in my ripe old 54 years, is that one of the biggest things that's changed is that people are not helping people as much as they used to when we were more community oriented. So I just want to bring that up, that you can't wait around for the government or the city or the town of Riverview, Dieppe or Moncton or province of New Brunswick to fix any of our problems. So if you can't bring your resources and your money to something like this, please find a way to bring your time, you know, your resource in terms of your skill set, to help with these problems. Like, don't just sit there and complain on Facebook or complain on social media about something somebody else is not doing. Bring a solution. And this is what all I can think of. And I'm so proud of the fact that you guys are involved in it and the other committee members are involved, because this is all I know how to do. And I'm going to put my effort 100% into this. And I hope everybody else finds a way to give back like that. That's all I want to say.
Yep, I think it's a great opportunity for women to take up space and use their voice, and again, exercise that economic power to really make change. And it's a really common thing for women to care about community and want to be community oriented, perhaps more so than men. I can only speak for myself as a female, but I think just goes with the vibe for a lot of women. And this is a great way to kind of to take, you know, to exercise that and really do it with some oomph and impact, because again, when you multiply all those hundreds of dollars, it makes a really big difference. It's something to see, especially if it's your charity you nominated, or even just one you heard about that night you never heard before, and they get selected. Like, for them to receive, you know, thousands of dollars is incredible, and that you're part of that, and that is making a difference. So
We're at 105 now.
oh my goodness, look at that. We got a few more members. Exciting. All right, ladies, any final words or
I just wanted to say a huge thanks, Amanda, for giving us this platform tonight to share. A huge thanks to Susan, and I could go on and on like I've won an Academy Award. But actuality, I just want to say that it's all of us coming together, and it's going to be every single member that makes that difference, not one member. And I think when we sit back and really say to ourselves that in just a couple short weeks, we've committed to over $40,000 we're going to donate this year. $40,000 we're going to give back to our community this year. So I think that's a pretty huge, a huge move only in a couple weeks. And we couldn't have done it without the chapters before us and all the support we're getting from people like you, Amanda. And I just want to say, Susan, Amanda, thanks for being a large part of my inspiration.
You're very, very welcome. Susan Clarke, any final words?
No, she won't let me say the last thing I wanted to say.
Amanda already said it. Go ahead. Amanda already said it.
Okay, I have to say it. The men have 161 members. So my big ask is that we get 162 members. And
there's the competitive part, guys. All right, ladies, the competitive part's coming in. So we got competitive and community. Let's put it together. Let's get 162.
I'm so proud of where we're at, but I'd be so excited if we got 162. So if every member went out and got one more member right now, we'd have 208 members.
There we go. There we go.
So
share, everybody. Share the links, tell your friends, tell your family. Again, there's no age limit, there's no anything. So if you identify as a woman, whatever that means to you, you're welcome. And there's no age limits, no anything. Anybody in the Greater Moncton or Moncton, Riverview, or Dieppe, please join us in making an amazing difference in the community. Feel free again to leave your comments or send questions, join the Facebook group, sign up on Eventbrite. And I'm sure we will have you ladies back in, you know, a few months down the road to kind of bring us up to speed on how things have gone and the amount of money that's been injected into the community. So on that note, I think we will wrap things up on Facebook. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It's been great. I hope that we've answered all your questions, and then we hope that you'll sign up. So thanks everybody.
See you. Thank you.